getting the letters from her made me feel like, okay, she's still here for me. It gave me fuel to keep on fighting for redemption and bettering myself. In prison, studying the tech industry, I was really fascinated by what was happening with this mobile app explosion. Even though kids use our service to this day and are using it from a cell phone, this app that JJ built, they think that they're just typing the message, attaching photos, and sending it to mom or dad in prison. But really it's coming to our computers, our servers, and we're going to print it all out and package it in the envelopes and, do all of the grunt work and mail it to the prison physically. 6 years deep into Photopatch, and we've been able to help 50,000 kids send pictures and letters to their mom or dad in prison.
Dear Family is a podcast hosted by Rachel Steinman, a writer, an educator, and a mental health advocate. And Rachel gets us up close and personal, so we feel a strong connection, familiarity, and comfort with her guests. So settle in and join us as we search for true healing and journey with Rachel and her most interesting guests.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dear Family, the podcast. We made it to 2021. Now we just have to remain vigilant about staying healthy until the vaccine allows us all to stop socially distancing, but also remain hopeful and look forward while taking all those worthwhile life lessons and silver linings that we learned back in 2020, the longest year of our lives, but bring that with us into this new year. And I wish you all the most love and all that you hope for this year. I want to thank you so much for listening and subscribing to Dear Family. And if you'd like to help spread the word, please give Dear Family a 5-star review and tell your friends. Thank you so much for following me on all the social media platforms at Right Now Rachel. That's right with a W. And you can reach me on any of those platforms as well. Before I go ahead and introduce you to the most dynamic father-daughter duo who will make you feel so incredibly inspired and hopeful and proud, I have to share a somewhat mortifying little bit of information. After I listened back to this interview, I felt a bit embarrassed because here I am interviewing these tech-savvy people, and I'm just going to go ahead and blame this on another 2020 moment where I was relegated to move into my bedroom to record, and my professional mic that was all ready to go somehow switched to my earbuds. So my mic is through my Apple earbuds. So you'll notice it's a little bit muffled, but I did my very best to kind of even out the audio through software. So bear with me. Thankfully, Antoine and JJ sound fabulous, like they so are. Enjoy and take care. With over 5 million children in the United States with an incarcerated parent, Antoine Patton came up with a vital tech business while going to college behind bars. His daughter JJ was just 3 years old when he went to jail 6 hours away for gun possession. JJ's mom became a single parent raising 2 children on her own, and she couldn't afford to take her kids to visit their dad. The letters and the photos that Antoine relied on getting from his family to keep the communication going and the bond alive, well, they were costly to print out, and the postage was expensive, and there was always a delay. Antoine enrolled in the Barred Prison Initiative and was able to get a liberal arts college education, an opportunity he didn't have growing up in Buffalo, New York. He learned how to code on his own before being released in 2014. With the help of his cousin, he launched the Photopatch Foundation, a nonprofit so that inmates could stay in touch with their children without putting any additional financial burden on them, sending close to 1 million photos. Wanting to spend as much time with Antoine as possible now that he was in her life, JJ learned how to code from her dad, and she launched a Photopatch mobile app, making it easier and more accessible for kids like her to send letters and photos to their parents. And at just 15 years old, the remarkable JJ was just named one of Teen Vogue's 21 under 21 this year for changing the world by teaching hundreds of kids the fundamentals of coding, a business that she continues to run and fundraise with her dad. JJ and Antoine understand the importance of keeping the family connected and stopping people from being incarcerated again by developing tight family bonds, which turn into safety nets through communication. Together, they continue to help others better their lives by not allowing a financial deterrent to get in the way of learning. Their coding lessons are affordable and accessible to all communities, especially people of color who often lack the exposure. You are going to absolutely love this most dynamic father-daughter duo who will make you feel so incredibly inspired, hopeful, and proud, and you'll remember the importance of second chances.
Welcome, JJ and Antoine. I'm so happy to have you on Dear Family, the podcast.
Thank you so much.
I saw you on the Today Show and on Steve Harvey, and I really wanted to have you on this podcast. I have to tell you, your story is so inspirational to me. I literally cried nonstop throughout those videos. It's especially amazing that you're bringing families together. And I'm just so grateful to have you here. There is no doubt you are proud of JJ, who is a huge social impact leader. You're a teen powerhouse.
Yeah. It's really an honor to be her father because how great she is on a daily basis. As far as you said, social impact, but even at home, she makes an impact on each one of us, whether it's me or mom or her younger siblings. It's really great to be her father.
JJ, I know you're really proud of your dad. Because this is a podcast called Dear Family, I always like to begin with having you tell us a little bit about your family.
We definitely have a big family. Family is just such a big part of our lives. That's something that daily we think about. We love spending time with family because that's what's most important in life is family.
Definitely. I come from a family. We used to get together like once a month for Sunday dinners. And like she said, a lot of us. So that growing up with that kind of bond and togetherness has played a big role on me. Like even to this day, we get together as a smaller family now. Me, Jayana, JJ, her younger siblings, Jaden and Nova, and her mom, Gina. And we have family time every single day. Between 4 and 7, we get together and try to do something together, whether that's playing video games or watching a movie or coding a video game. We do family business. We do family fun. We do family exercising. It really is the foundation of our life and keep us grounded, especially during times like these, right? 2020 was a roller coaster. It was good for us to be able to be there for each other, not being alone throughout this whole year.
When I was trying to schedule a time to speak with you, you had mentioned this family time every day from 4 to 7, every single day for 3 hours. Are we talking about Monday through Sunday, every single day?
Actually, Saturday's
like a whole day family day. Like Saturday.
What an inspiration. Antoine, you are originally from Buffalo, New York, and that's where I think you started your family. And now you live in Florida. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, definitely. Buffalo, not the proudest place to be from, but when we look back at our memories and then also the roots that are planted there with our family, like my mom, my grandmothers, my father, a ton of our family just still live there. It's still something that we love to go back to. And usually when we go back, we're trying to bring some kind of light and some kind of inspiration and get the family together.
So now you're living in sunny Florida. What part?
Yeah, Southwest Florida, in between Tampa and Miami, Naples area.
And JJ, what grade are you in?
I'm in 9th grade now.
So you just started high school?
I'm actually homeschooled now. So I haven't done high school in the building, so I don't know what it's like. So
well, next year when you start 10th grade, you're really going to appreciate seeing your friends. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So JJ, you were only 3 when your dad went to jail, and he went away for gun possession, which meant that your mom had to become a single parent and raise you and your younger brother. And she could only afford to take you to visit your dad just twice during his 7-year incarceration because the state prison was far and it was expensive to get you guys there. You needed help sending your dad letters and printing them, and that was costly and there were delays. Why was sending those letters to your dad so important to you?
I think sending the letters was important because I just always wanted to have a strong bond with my father no matter what, if he was there, if he was gone. So sending letters really meant a lot. And although it was hard and I couldn't do all the time and they didn't always make it, it was something that you kind of just enjoy doing because no matter what, I wanted to bond with my dad because living in Buffalo, New York, there's a lot of people who go through the same thing or doesn't even have a father anymore because they're deceased. So I'm like, at least I still have a father that's living. And although I won't be able to see him for a while, one day I will. And I want to keep a bond now because that's not something you want to take for granted. Not everybody gets to say that they, have a father to look up to or write or call or talk to. So that's what was most important for me.
Antoine, I know receiving those letters meant a lot to you. Tell us what it felt like when you got a letter.
Every time I got a letter, I would say I felt even more forgiven. I felt like I had these wounds. Within 2 weeks of me being in prison, I was talking to an older gentleman who said he did about 12 or 13 years in prison, got out and was doing really good, doing real estate, taking care of his family, helped his daughter get into business. And then here he is back in a local jail. And he was devastated. He was like, I worked so hard. Then a domestic dispute led to him going back to prison. And I just like, whoa, I don't want this to be my future, right? Where I'm breaking her heart over and over again. So that immediately just made me start focusing on how to redeem myself and also put myself in a better position to where this will never have to be a reality again. Getting letters from her made me feel like, okay, she's still here for me. It gave me fuel to keep on fighting for redemption and bettering myself.
I have to imagine that prison was so scary and sad and frustrating and lonely and all those negative emotions. You said the hardest part in prison was the lack of communication. Would you say that's still true?
Yes, definitely. And even more so now with what's going on with the pandemic. And a lot of jails are shutting down and you can't go and visit your loved one who's incarcerated. So it's really tough on people who are incarcerated and on the people on the outside because just as much as the person inside wants to visit, somebody wants to go and visit them and show them love and build them up and have conversations that they don't want to have over the phone or that can't be put into a letter because it's not going to come across correctly. There's nothing really being innovated around that. They're just like, we're just going to stop all kind of prison traffic. And that hurts. So I just know from firsthand experience, I couldn't get visits because of where the prison system moved me to. They say you're going to be 6 hours away from your family, and if they make it, they make it. If not, you just have to deal with it until you're released. So you either get physical visits, you get phone calls, or you get letters. And phone calls, some people can afford it, but some prisons were like more expensive than others. And then some people couldn't afford it just in general. So, but the people who could, of course, I appreciated that and was able to make phone calls and call JJ sometime on like a 3-way, which is still not even legal, right? So here I am having to break rules to speak to my daughter because her and her mother don't have a phone on for me to call. But I'm going to find a way to hear her voice and let her hear my voice and let her know I'm okay. So that was tough. And then lastly was letters. So really became dependent on getting letters from JJ. And that was something that was more doable, less expensive, but time-wise, it was just something hard to do, something hard to manage. Her mom would have to sit down, take a break from work, from school, from cooking and cleaning to help JJ get letters, envelopes, stamps, go and get pictures printed, and then mail it all out to me and get it to the post office. So it was a lot. And I just started thinking, what if there was a better way for all of this? I know they want to help me and people really want to send more letters, but it's just not a convenient process. So I'm in prison studying the tech industry. I was really fascinated by what was happening with this mobile app explosion and social media. Everybody's communicating via the internet. I was like, even though I'm missing this wave and this boom, when I go home, this is going to be the new norm. Maybe I can build something that operates on that new norm. Even though kids use our service to this day and they're using it from a cell phone, this app that JJ built, they think that they're just typing a message, attaching photos and sending it to mom or dad in prison. But really it's coming to our computers, our servers, and we're going to print it all out and package it in the envelopes and, do all of the grunt work and mail it to the prison physically. Her letters just motivated me to do that because I'm like, I want more of these. And if it was as simple as making a post on Facebook or sending an email, more people will be communicating with their loved ones in prison.
When you were in prison, you enrolled in the Barred Prison Initiative and you were able to get a college education.
Correct.
And you took liberal arts courses and you were writing plays and you had this opportunity that you took, which was incredible. And I'm so happy that you did that. Do you think that if you had access to that education before you went to jail, you wouldn't have needed to earn a degree behind bars?
Oh, yes. Yes. And the right type of education as well. Like I did finish high school. I even enrolled into community college as well. But I never felt like education system was talking directly towards me or really trying to get me to think in a more critical way. It kind of was like just memorize, or repetition or pass this test. When I got into this liberal arts college, it was more so about here reading some text and looking at it from a different angle, or studying other people's culture, or getting into statistics. Right. So now I can see how mathematics is important, opposed to just saying memorize this formula. It's like, no, if you get into data science and become a statistician, you can use these numbers to predict a lot about human behavior, about stock prices. So I started seeing different ways to use education opposed to it just being pushed and forced down on me.
You decided to pass on a computer science course, but then decided to teach yourself how to code from a manual, which is just unbelievable. That shows major motivation, but also a high level of intelligence. What was your end goal when you decided, I want to learn how to code?
My first goal when learning how to code, I wanted financial stability in my life. I'm someone who come from Buffalo. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of opportunities. I even found myself selling drugs at a really young age, 16, 17 years old, 18. And then I went to prison at about 19, 20. I knew when I was going to come home, I needed a real legitimate financial revenue stream. And I was reading these articles in the newspaper every day. Once I read one, I got addicted. And it just was talking about these tech millionaires and billionaires building these apps and services that are changing their lives and their families' lives and generating generational wealth. And I was like, I would love to do that. And one thing I learned from reading those articles was if you can build a great product that solves a problem, then you can have a successful application or a tech company. So I started looking at my own life and was like, what's one big thing impacted me, that a problem I can solve in my own life, and maybe I can solve that problem for other people. And of course, it was communication. It was like, I wish I can get more letters from my daughter. It was a really, really big pain and strain for me. I don't know how to really put it into words. Just imagine somebody walking up the street every day, right up your street where you see all your neighbors, and one day they may bring you food to eat and one day they may not, right? But you're dependent on if that person brings you food or not. And they won't walk past your house or your cell and say, sorry, you don't have mail today. They just walk by like it's nothing. They don't care. But in your head, you're really looking forward to those letters. Maybe it's still being inspected for days or weeks, or maybe it got returned back. So I just was like, this is a big problem. And I really want to help other people get over this hurdle.
Now you're alleviating all that uncertainty of wondering and waiting for prisoners so they can focus on other things. You were released from prison in 2014. I don't know if you started your foundation while you were still in prison with your cousin Greg, or was it after you got out?
It was after I got out. We did a lot of research while I was in prison. That's when I thought about the idea of Photopatch and creating a service for kids to communicate with their mom or dad in prison. So I just started sending him my ideas, and he would send me back information about how to turn it into a business. And one thing I learned throughout that research was there's no way we're going to charge a kid to send letters and photos to their parents in prison. I ended up telling him, stop sending me information on corporations. Instead, send me information on how to become a nonprofit. I came home November 8, 2014, and 6 weeks later, we filed for a 501c3 on January 1st. And the IRS approved us a couple months later. And now we're 6 years deep into Photopatch, and we've been able to help 50,000 kids send pictures and letters to their mom or dad in prison.
It's really heartening for me to imagine you shipping those quality letters and photos. How are you able to do it for free?
We get a lot of fundraisers, and we apply for different grants to help us raise money. But behind the scenes, we have a company that helps us print it out and package it and send it to the prison on our behalf.
Just say I'm a kid who wants to send my mom a letter. When my mom receives it, it will have a return address from my house.
Yeah, you have to make an account and you put whoever you want to send it to and your address and their address, and you will have a return address for your house.
I will make sure to have a link in the show notes so the listeners can contribute to this incredible foundation. Can prisoners send letters and photos back?
Only physically at this point. We are working towards a game plan to get our application inside of the prisons. There is a push right now for more technology in prisons. There always has been, but it's making a lot of leeway. A lot of people now have tablets inside of prison. So if we can get our app on those tablets, it will be a great way for people to communicate.
Is the politically correct word prisoners? Like, is that okay for me to refer to people that are in prison as prisoners?
It just depends. There is a lot of sensitivity around words for sure. I think the word incarcerated has become more popular, less, I guess, harsh. The push was mainly to have more humanity for people who are incarcerated, mainly because if it really is supposed to be about rehabilitation, we should be treating people correctly, educating them, showing them how to act and move and communicate and socialize while they're there. But instead, it's like they try to put people on punishment for their entire sentence. And just imagine if you tell a kid stand at a wall for a week straight, like that's going to really make him learn his lesson. No, he's going to be angry. He's going to be upset. He's going to be hurt. So it takes a really, really strong person to go to prison and then come out better, because the system feels like you're in a war and it's not someone trying to help you. Instead, it's like they're trying to punish you and hurt you more and more as you're there. So I think that's why people try to change the words around, because the word prisoner has this guilty connotation with it. And yes, people have done bad things that make them go to prison. But a lot of these people are coming home, and we need to start thinking of it in that way and build in the same way I want people to build bonds with their family while they're in prison. The society needs to build a bond with these people too, because they're going to be home. They're going to be in the same rooms with you. And some of them are going to come home and try to change the world.
I'm going to ask the question that we're all wondering. What was it like walking out of jail?
It was a great moment. It was beautiful. Before I left out, one of my best friends who I met in prison, and him and I just became really, really close over the years. I knew him for about 5 years that I was incarcerated. He was able to walk me to the front door and we hugged, and I was like, whoa, this is really over. And then I walked out the doors and my mother was out there waiting for me. And she was someone who was there for me the whole time. She doesn't even have much, but somehow she always found a way to, send me $25 here, keep the phone on so I can call her. So it was just really great to step into her arms and be reunited with her. And it was good. We went out for lunch. It was actually a snowstorm that day in Buffalo. It was this huge, huge storm. So I was supposed to be going to Buffalo, chilling with JJ for a couple of days, and then moving to Florida immediately. But I ended up going to Buffalo for one day. I did get to see JJ for a night. We got to catch up finally, sleep together and just like laugh and look at each other and just, be amazed that all of this time has went by. And then the next day we had some plans, but I had to leave. It was a huge storm. They shut the city down and I finally found a way to get out. They said, if you leave now, you can go. If not, you'll be stuck here for another few days. And just the way the system is set up, if I wouldn't have left, I probably could have got violated by probation and could have been back in prison, which would have been devastating. Overall, it was a great coming home, but I realized quickly I'm still stuck in this system, right? I'm still stuck in this system by being on probation. So thankfully, last year, exactly 1 year ago, on November 18th, 2019, probation was over and ended. So I'm totally able to just freely move and do what we want to do now.
JJ, tell us about what it was like having your dad come home. I bet you were looking forward to that day.
Yeah, it was so exciting. I didn't know when he was going to come home. It was a big surprise. I didn't know what was happening. So finally get to really see him and look at him. It was kind of a shocker. I didn't think it was real. I kind of just stared at him for like 5 minutes. I just didn't understand. I was like, how? I didn't understand. And nobody told me. So I'm like it has to be a joke. But at the same time, I'm like, this guy looks just like me. Like, it's no joke. This is my dad. But it was so exciting. Like, I couldn't wait to spend so much more time with him. I was so sad when he had to leave early because I was looking forward to seeing him again the next day and later on. So it was a bittersweet moment, but I really enjoyed seeing him. Like, I didn't let him go.
The good thing is 6 months later, once the school year was over, JJ, Gina, and her little brother moved down to Florida as well to live with me. So we've been all together, stuck ever since.
I love it. And in the pandemic, you're really stuck together. But it seems like you're okay with that, considering all the family time you like to have. JJ, you were 12 years old when you were able to bond with your dad when he showed you how to code. What did he say when you mentioned the idea that you wanted to create an app?
He was very supportive. I think it was a shocker for everybody because first he was already shocked that I wanted to learn how to code with him. But of course he's excited. He's like, this is something that I love to do. My daughter wants to do it. I'm super excited. So he was excited to teach me. And then from there, me wanting to create an app on my own, he was even more excited because he's like, look at my little girl on her way doing things like me, becoming so big. So I think he was definitely proud. The whole team was proud. My whole family was proud. It was definitely something, really great.
As we know, especially the younger generation, they're using their phones for everything. With COVID, in-person visits to prisons have been canceled. So your app's even more needed than ever. This question's for both of you. Why is communication key to staying in touch with family? And how does it reduce recidivism? So in other words, how does it keep the family connected and also stopping people from being incarcerated again?
Communication is just something big in everybody's life. Imagine being married to someone and you guys just aren't communicating. And a lot of stuff is going to happen in your marriage because you're not talking to each other. You're not figuring out things. Let's say you go and buy something without telling your significant other, and now you guys are in a battle, or something happens with your children. If you don't have communication with someone, you're never going to know what's going on, or you're never going to be able to have a civilized conversation or just see each other eye to eye because you really don't know what's happening because you guys have no source of communication. So that's what it's like when someone's in prison and they have loved ones on the outside. If you guys aren't communicating, either one of you don't understand what's happening in each other's lives. And then you can't just expect to bounce right back once you guys start talking again or when they come home, because it's like we haven't had communication for so long. Now it's hard for us to try to bounce back. So it's really important to stay within communication because that helps build a bond, that helps normalize everything and get back on track because you already had a game plan. You already were communicating. That helps the person on the inside feel better about everything. So when they come home, they have something to look forward to because they know that they've kept communication with certain people and they have the people to fall back on. If not, they come back and are on their own again and may end up in the same cycle because they didn't have anybody there for them.
You are so wise beyond your years. Talking about communication in a marriage, unbelievable. I love it. It's so great.
Thank you.
And Jay, I watched your speech in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the HER conference. Why does race and gender affect how people are treated?
Certain people in this world feel better than others and look down upon people that's different from them. For certain people that's a different race or a different gender, it can be hard for them. A lot of Black and brown people are not really introduced into tech and are not on the kind of things that we're doing because it's shifted away from them and not letting them think that is for them. Or the same thing for women. Women are kind of downgraded to think they're only allowed to do certain things or allowed to take care of kids and be at home and cook, and the men do everything. And I think our society really needs to change around with things like that and really see that anybody in this world are capable of doing anything. And at the end of the day, we're all human beings. No matter what we look like, no matter what we do, we should all be civilized enough to be in the same room together, be able to value someone for their ideas or their decisions, not just look at them and automatically think, oh no, I don't like them, or I don't want to hear what they're saying. It's just not fair. You don't know how much this person could bring to the table because you haven't even took the time out to get to know them beyond what they look like.
So poignant and so true. And just by you speaking out, you're changing that. So that's really great. Thank you. Antoine, there are a lot of assumptions about people who end up in prison. Many of them just need that second chance, which thankfully you were given. You lacked opportunity and exposure when you grew up in Buffalo, and you saw people who would take a small amount of drugs and turn it into a house. So that's the path you thought you had to follow because you didn't have these other opportunities. Why do you think people should be afforded second chances? And also, why is exposure so important?
A great question. I really think people should be afforded second chances because I've learned that the people who have went through the fire the most actually have the ability to be our strongest leaders and thinkers and strategists and movement makers. Look at our political landscape. A lot of the people who are making change are people who have been impacted by incarceration. And they're writing a bunch of bills. They're leading protests, peaceful protests, might I add. They're doing a lot of great things because they've been conditioned now. They've been through so much. They can deal with some of the things that intimidate other people. Think about some of the people you may know who are very smart and intelligent, but then they get nervous or they get shy to go out there and really make a change in this world. So the people who have been through it, they feel like they owe it to the world, but also they do have tougher skin and they can go through so much more.
You're teaching kids how to code online. Your mission is to stop intergenerational incarceration one youth at a time. And you set a goal in 2020 to teach 2,020 kids to code by getting them internships and different companies. How's that going? And tell us about how you're teaching.
So we're at the end of 2020 and we've grown way beyond what we expected. We've definitely already surpassed our goal. Just 2 days ago was our 2-year anniversary for Unlock Academy. So we've been on a roll ever since. And that 2020 goal kind of just surpassed way beyond what we even thought would happen. We had that small little goal in mind and so much more came from it. We're just really proud of ourselves for being able to do things like this, really being able to teach people and change other people's lives, get people jobs or give people a higher opportunity at their job or just make them quit their job and start their own business. So it's really, really inspiring to see all the people's lives that we help. Even if it's little by little, it's a certain amount at a time. And only from there, you're going to keep going up. So I really can't wait to see what other years bring for us because we've really been doing a lot in only 2 years.
We literally just created a whole totally separate business company alongside of Photopatch. And it's kind of becoming like a thread of ours. We want to use technology in different ways to impact people, to change people's lives. So Photopatch was the start. We also have a consulting company where we build apps and websites for people. And then we have Unlock Academy where we teach people modern tech skills that can help them, navigate in tomorrow's world. And as we see in 2020, if you didn't have those essential skills, you were kind of in a weird position. So we're teaching people now how to start a business from home by learning how to code and build websites. And this is really fulfilling. We're teaching anyone who's interested. Right now, I think adults ages like 18 to 36 is our largest demographic. But we have a youth tribe as well that JJ is teaching. And this is kids from 8 to 16. So that's awesome. Some of our students have went on to get jobs already. Some of them have started their own freelancing businesses. We're doing challenges. We've hired 4 of our students this year, which is like really crazy. We hire people during the pandemic. So it just goes to show how many people are getting involved in what we do. And we keep our prices low, where some people charge $15,000, $20,000 for a boot camp. We literally charge $30 to $40 per month for a membership. And so we just wanted to be affordable and accessible because it comes back to what we talked about, exposure to this kind of knowledge. And we didn't want a financial deterrent in a way.
Honestly, I'm just blown away by both of you. JJ is also making music videos. Why did you make the video?
My whole life, I loved music. I think music is such a powerful piece in everybody's lives. Music just has so many different moods. So if you're sad, you can play some music that'll cheer you up. Sometimes my mom will turn on some music and start cleaning and okay, we're in a cleaning mood. Or if you're just in a really happy spirit and you just want to get pumped up, you play some music. Music really takes you to a lot of different emotions and it really just helps you through a lot of stuff. My dad was already making music beforehand and I thought it was something fun that I would try out too. Anything he was doing at this point, I wanted to try because I'm like, I finally have my dad here with me. I'm going to take as much out of it as I can. And I still am. I just wanted to try to jump into it and see what it's about. And I liked it. And we're like, how about we come up with a theme song for Photopatch? Just something fun, something cool. And we came up with this song and we're like, okay, now of course we have to do a video. So it was around my birthday. We did some of the video at a birthday party and another part of the video at a school that actually let us shoot it there. And it was just so fun. We had a lot of family there. My cousins were on the song as well. It was just a really fun kind of thing. I started making music with my dad and we have a song together and we're going to make a music video for that too. And now I'm working on songs by myself as well. So I think from there that kind of boosted my music ability even more because I'm like, yeah, this is something I really like.
You're multi-talented. What about you, Antoine? What kind of music do you make?
I love all kind of music. Unfortunately, I don't have the voice to make the kind of music that I would love to write like ballads, like, like those real heart-wrenching, deep, soulful songs like Rihanna singing a ballad or Jennifer Hudson or Adele, somebody just like pouring their heart out. But unfortunately, I can't. If it comes on, I'll try it and wreck it. So I stick to what I can do, and I can write songs. I can write an R&B song as long as it's not too much vocals, and I can write a hip hop song. I love to write those for me. I write myself a lot of hip hop music. I love to write hooks. I know how to make beats as well, like instrumentals. For me, it's therapeutic. It's an outlet for creativity. I do it when I find the time.
JJ, you have a wonderful model in your dad. Where do you think you might like to go to college? Do you think you want to continue with coding?
As of right now, I feel like I can't say because I kind of changed my mind with things a lot. Like I've battled on and off with homeschooling for a long time now, and now I'm finally like sticking with it. So when it comes to that, I think it's a hard decision for me to make right now. I'm definitely know that for sure I will definitely keep on running businesses and doing coding and working alongside with my dad.
You don't need to know now. You're young and you're actually getting an incredible education. JJ and Antoine, you both really cherish your family time. What are you doing every day from 4 to 7?
We start off with family business. Let's say 4 to 4:30, we're just talking some business. Recently, the big topic of discussion has been moving. We're planning on moving from Florida, and it's like, where do we want to go? With the move comes fixing up the house, finding realtors, staging the house, finding a new home where we want to live. A lot of research. Her mom is always like watching videos on this city or that city or looking at houses on some of these platforms. That's maybe like the first 30 minutes right now. And then we move on to something more fun. We may just first take a walk too. We like to take walks around our neighborhood. The kids ride the bikes or the scooters or something like that. And we just talk. We really just like check in with each other. We all do a lot throughout the day. JJ has a schedule where she's bouncing from piano to singing to coding to like creating a face mask. She can do so much. And then it's like we catch up at 4 or 5 o'clock to talk about what we've been doing all day. I'm running 3 businesses as well. Yeah, it's just so much going on. Believe me, there's never like nothing to talk about.
With how much you have going on that you are able to make family a priority. That is an inspiration to me. Jay, your signature on your email has a quote from Beyonce, and it says, self-worth is determined by you. You don't have to depend on someone telling you who you are.
Yes.
Why does that resonate so much with you?
Yeah, I think just because growing up and becoming a teenager, you look for acceptance or validation from other people, especially being in school, getting into middle school, going into high school. It's hard balancing peer pressure and friendships and just being a teen overall. Your mind starts to wander to different places you're growing up. So for me, I had to realize my self-worth. I have to know it for myself. As long as my parents cherish me and I'm seeing all the great things I'm doing and how valuable I am to myself and other people in the world, that's kind of all that matters. That's a really great quote for me. I want anybody else who needs to know that to see that as well. Like, you should only determine your self-worth. Don't depend on anybody else to tell you who you can be, who you are, who you're not. And if you're validated, anything like that, just depend on yourself, not other people.
JJ, if you could write your younger 6-year-old self a Dear JJ love letter,
yes,
knowing what you've learned now at the ripe old age of 15, what would you tell yourself? Because at that point, your dad is incarcerated.
Since I was little, I always had big dreams for myself. Even though I never expected to be here where I am today, I always had some sort of vision of I will be somewhere in life, I will be accomplished. So I would definitely just tell her, your dreams have definitely came true. You are beyond wise and you are beyond successful and you keep growing every day. There's more success to come your way, but what you have now is already amazing. So I would definitely tell her to keep going, keep learning, keep being smart, keep cherishing all the moments that you have with family and continue to cherish your mom and just everybody that you have around you because so many great things are going to continue to come your way.
I love your confidence. It's fantastic. Antoine, now the same question goes for you. If you could write your younger 20-year-old self a Dear Antoine love letter, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
I have to piggyback off of JJ. I think what you said was great. It's incredible. Felt the same way growing up. Always had a confidence, just feeling like I'm going to do something great or I'm going to be financially okay. But I never had a plan. And with that came a lack of patience, I would say. I would tell myself to be patient. Things are going to be okay. You just give yourself a chance, and more than anything, like learn a relevant skill set. It's something that you can really depend on and lean on. And that's how what you expect is going to come. Like you think, I say to myself, I'm going to be great. I'm going to be rich. Well, yeah, you have to put yourself in that position. It's not going to just come to you. Instead, I was looking for a quicker way and trying to get to that moment of success. And that's not the way to do it. I would just tell my younger self to be patient, remain confident, remain optimistic, remain faithful, stick to the path. Don't worry about taking shortcuts and enjoy the journey. I really appreciate the journey we're on. I tell myself regularly that I'm successful already. I don't have to stress about success in the future. If I'm doing certain things like making an impact, like using my intellect, like being an inspiration, those kind of I words, then I am successful.
I see where JJ gets her confidence from. I am incredibly grateful to have had this opportunity to get to know you better. I am so grateful there are people like you, not just educating others to be open-minded and look at incarcerated people with compassion and know that they deserve second chances, but also helping communities lift them up. And
you're welcome. And thank you for giving us opportunity to share our stories, our mission, and our platforms. This has been awesome talking with you.
Thank you.
This is Rachel Steinman. For more information or to contact me with any questions, comments, or guest ideas, please check out rightnowrachel.com. That's right with a W. Thank you so much for listening, subscribing, and sharing, dear family. And if you found value in what you've just heard, I would love and so appreciate a great review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Until next time, I wish you love, happiness, and good mental health.